Welcome back to the MBH podcast, Money Buys Happiness, Season 4, Episode 7. Did I get it right, Dean?
You got it.
Okay.
Yo, we just hit 400 subs, man.
400 fucking subs.
Yo, we've been working for those subs, bro. I swear,
Good
job. I know what it's like.
Yo, man, shit's dumb, bro. Shit's
We
dumb.
got an amazing guest right now, bro. I'm
Yo,
pumped to have you, man.
Thank you, guys.
So excited to have you, bro. I've been watching your shit like since forever, like back in high school. Like
That's what's up.
I've been always seeing what you've been up to. So when this guy's like, "Yo, we're getting him on," I'm like, "Let's fucking go." The one, the only, that dude McFly. Real
What up,
name,
bro?
Marlon. What's up, bro?
What's
How are
going
you,
on, man? Thank you guys for having me, man. I'm
course,
excited
bro.
to be here too.
Yeah,
Of course,
no,
man.
it's like I said, fuck, dude, you've been doing like you just been like on socials and been like a presence in Toronto. I feel like forever at this point.
Feels like
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
For me, it feels like forever. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of people that watch is gonna know who you are. But for anyone who doesn't, maybe just a little intro on yourself.
Yeah, I'm an actor, comedian, host, MC. I do basically everything. I'm a podcaster. Like I just do anything media related, anything creative. Like I like to get my hands into. I've been doing it for like probably 10 plus years now. Starting off on YouTube and then just branching out into other things. So it's been fun.
We spoke a bit off camera, and then we're just like, yo, you were on YouTube and starting a podcast from time, like before even fucking people knew what's good. Like
before Joe
you were a
Rogan
content
out
creator
there.
before they made the word content creator. You know what I mean? Like I'm serious.
I just
right?
get bored way too easily.
Right? So,
I think
no,
that's
but
what it
I
is.
want to go back in time a little bit and talk about when you first started on YouTube.
Yeah.
What made you kind of take that step, and how was it at the beginning?
I think the first thing I ever uploaded was like the cooking dance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember Lil B. I had to
Yeah.
make sure the curse didn't join the channel. Just get that. That's like sage for YouTube right there. So did the cooking dance, and that did like numbers for no reason at all, other than that fact that it was like a thing at the time. And I didn't know what trending things were or anything like that. But it got some views, and I'm like, okay, I like attention. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the next video we made, I had actually joined. I went back to college for the second time and dropped out again. And
Second time is charm.
fucking hate that place. And
You just have to make sure you hate it.
Exactly.
You're like,
I hate it. That was years ago. Let me just make sure. So I went back and I was doing a media program.
Dope.
And you could rent out. I realized if you rent out a camera on Thursday, you could get it for the whole weekend.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, let's start doing that. Got it. And the first video me and my boy ever made was to get these two girls' attention. These girls, Andrea's Choice and Brittany's Choice. They were like makeup gurus at the time.
Okay.
I didn't know what the hell that was either, but they had done like a call out challenge to their viewers to put on makeup as horribly as they could and send them the video. And those times, I don't know if you guys remember YouTube, when you you could do like reply videos, reaction videos to someone's video, and all of them would show up under that video.
I did not know that.
That's when YouTube used to be about the growth, baby.
Yeah.
So it's like that would allow for so much growth for a lot of people, because you'd see who replied to this video with their own type of video. And so we're like, yo, we're gonna be the only guys if we do this shit. They're gonna see us. Let's just make them laugh. Let's just try a thing. And we ended up making the video. They were the first ones to comment, because I guess they were just checking who was doing the challenge or whatever. And I was like, oh shit. And those times also, which was great about YouTube, when you were subscribed to someone, as soon as you logged on, first thing on the homepage is you'd see their like reply to a comment or they're liking a video or whatever, and you'd be like, oh, they like it, I'm gonna like it. And they'd all click. And so all their fans came over, and my boy Lath was also in the video. He's a very pretty guy. So they were just going crazy, losing their minds. And then so I'm like, yo, bro, we're getting girls off this. Let's just keep going.
keep rolling.
So he's like, all right, next video, masturbation video.
Straight to the point. Let's get straight to the point.
Let's just show what we're working with. And we made a video because we're like, what could we talk about? And like, we're just talking about like porn and all this funny shit with porn and dying of laughter. And we're just like, yo, let's just make a video about masturbating, like all this shit about masturbating. And we did that and ended up on World Star. And that's those times when you ended up on World Star. Everyone you know calls you, congratulations, oh my god, you guys are out of here, blah blah. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And so from there, I still didn't know it was a job. I didn't know I could make money from it. I didn't know any of that. And I just kept making videos just for the fun of it. I loved the attention I was getting. I was going on the street, people were stopping me for pictures. I'm like, this is really dope. And I just kept doing that until like Shit Toronto People Say came out, and that's when everything kind of just took off to another level.
That's crazy. And I saw, I mean, you have a bunch of channels. Yeah. But your main one, 172,000 subs.
Yeah.
Bro. Like,
I can start using that again.
Yo, how the fuck did you? How'd you like? I just said congrats. We just hit 400.
We're at 400.
You know what I mean? Like 172K. Like, how long did that take to build? I want our audience to know that like it can either happen quick or it can happen in a long time, right?
No, it happened fairly quickly. Drake, I was hosting a party at Wet Bar, RIP.
Oh yeah.
And Drake had ended up tweeting the link for Shit Toronto People Say, and he was just like, yo, this is heavy dying, dog, or something like that. And so everybody's coming up to me in the club like, yo, did you see what just happened? I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Look at my phone, it's like melting. Like the amount of notifications. Those times I had my notifications on, it was just going ding, 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 ding. I was like, this is crazy. And so from there, I got a big jump in subscribers because of Drake and him pushing that out there. And then there was like just other random moments, like Tyga tweeting out one of my videos, I got a big jump. Bow Wow tweeting one of my videos,
like
I got a big jump.
At that time,
you know what I mean? And so with that, plus like at that time I was way more consistent, like throwing up skits every once in a while, and skits were like the thing on YouTube. So like if you were making skits, you're good to go. Of course. Now it's a lot different. But back then skits were like it. So it was a new medium for a lot of people. They weren't used to seeing like these sketches on the internet or whatever. So I think that played a huge role in it, and jumping on the trends. So like Harlem Shake trend, I did with like 25 other big YouTubers. And so like I got all their following, and it was just a lot of fun.
So for YouTube, for example, when did you notice that like, yo, this is different now? It's not as easy to grow, or it's not. They're not liking it the same way. They're looking for different kind of content now. Like, when did you notice that?
It wasn't even necessarily like the fans or anything like that. It was YouTube itself. It was just so trash. Like the censorship. Walmart had pulled out, and so adpocalypse began. That's what they called it. And so once Walmart pulled out, other smaller companies like, what? Walmart's not doing this. I'm not doing this. And just domino effect of companies dropping out. Saw the monetization drop like 60% of your like monthly earnings are gone. And on top of that, they're just getting, especially because of the adpocalypse, they had to get stricter with all of the rules and shit. And so now titles, you can't have sex in titles or anything sexually related, drugs or any of that stuff, swearing even. This is like, you can't do anything. So I was just like, why am I here? Like this is exactly why we came to YouTube, was to escape all of this bullshit that the other creators have to deal with on TV and shit. And so now we have to deal with it here, and I blame the late night shows, honestly. Once YouTube brought in those late night shows, Jimmy Kimmel, Fallon, all those shows, that was the end. That was the end.
And I'm curious, like, okay, because I've also seen you on TV. I've seen you in some commercials. How did that jump start? Like, were you always planning to make that jump? Be like, yo, I want to do commercials.
Did that come from building?
Did that come from YouTube and building?
I wish it did, honestly. I don't know what my mind frame was. I keep thinking about this back in the day.
Did you do a Honda commercial?
I did. Okay. That was the first commercial I ever did.
That's what I remember. Dude, I
hated that commercial. It was so suggestive. Like this white guy suit walking in the park garage, and here goes this black guy dressed in all black. He just puts his hands on his shoulder like, taking your car. You know what I mean?
I remember that, bro.
So I'm like, I love that, but no, I don't know what I was thinking I was gonna do. Honestly, it started from the VJ search. I did the Much Music VJ search in 2009, and that kind of sparked a little like, yo, I could do this TV thing, because I got to the finale. I ended up in second place in the whole competition. I was like, maybe I'm good at this. Like, and it was fun to me. It was fun being on TV and all that stuff. But then when I got the freedom of YouTube right after that, because I piggybacked off that following, it just, TV is just like not in my mind anymore, because I'm making good money here. Like, there's so much rules. You gotta wait for auditions. Then you don't know if you do the show, if it's even gonna get on TV.
Fair.
And so I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna go down that road. And I was in the club again. It's like a common
every
theme
good
here.
story is like when I was in the club.
I was in the club with my boy, who I've known for years, and we're just chopping it up. And he's just like, "What you been up to?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm about to look for an agent, I think." He's like, "Bro, I'm an agent," and I'm like, "Okay, I mean, that works." His family had an agency for the past 25 years. That he was like a baby when they started, and now they're pretty big. So I was just like, yeah, I'll come in tomorrow, sign the papers, and we just get started. And like a week later, I landed the Honda commercial, and I was like, oh, I'm landing every audition. This shit's easy. Didn't get another one for a month. So it was that, and just gradually just chipping away.
I have a question about your comedic side.
Yeah.
Obviously, with where you started to where we are now, comedy's kind of changed in the way where it's being affected by things like cancel culture, censorship, and stuff like that. So how has your comedic views changed with the times, or have they?
I wouldn't say my comedic views changed. I'd say I changed. A lot of shit, especially as men, a lot of stuff we were blind to from before that like we're learning about over the past couple of years that have just really opened my eyes to a lot of shit. And with that, some of the jokes can hurt. For me, I don't think it's an end all be all. Like there's tons of ways to be funny. Of course. You know what I mean? Fair. And there's so many different topics to talk about. If that's what you got, if you have to rely on that,
just on that,
then there's a problem there. And I noticed that even before all the cancel culture stuff. I'm like, yo, if I could find a way to be funny without using a swear word, for example. Like that's a crutch for a lot of comedians. Like just the emphasis, the way it sounds, the way it cuts through the air is just so funny that it's almost cheating. And I felt that way starting with like YouTube when I was doing the Jamaican stuff. I'm a Jamaican background, and I know it's so easy to be funny in Jamaican. That's all we are basically. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't want to do that, and I kind of shied away from that as well. So I'm constantly trying to not do things the easy way, and I think that a lot of that stuff that fell under cancel culture was just very low-hanging fruit, easy shit to do. That if you're complaining about it now, it's because you don't want to do the work, of course, to get better. You know what I mean?
Interesting. I've never actually heard that take. Like, you know what I mean? Usually, like people we ask about cancel culture, they're like, well, bro, I'm a fucking comedian. Like, you shouldn't be upset at what I say, which I understand to a certain extent, but I actually like the way you're thinking about it. You're almost like looking at it like as a competitive thing.
For me, it's like when the 3-point line came in the NBA, you had to learn how to shoot threes. You know what I mean? Like, it's nobody's like, yo, what the fuck? What happened to 2-point? Like, you know what I mean? When dunking came in, they said fuck dunking at first, and then said, all right, let's just let the figure it out. You know what I mean? Figure it out. And so, even if white guys can figure out how to play in the NBA, with dunking, then we're fine. You know what I mean? We're fine.
True. That's funny.
That's funny. I want to talk about even the monetization part of YouTube. How was that for you? Like, did you learn about it as you went, or was it easier at that time?
They got to do a better job.
I still don't understand it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't get it.
They got to do a better job at that. I don't know why they don't make it like very readily apparent information, like just easy breakdown. But back then it was, you had to have 1,000 subscribers and a certain amount of watch time, and then you could get partnership. So they'd send you a key, partnership key or password key or whatever, and then you put that into some monetization thing on their site, and now you're a partner. And I had no idea any of this. Remember, I was saying I was just like making this shit for jokes, right? And so I was going to Miami, and something happened a couple of days before where I had to literally spend majority of my money, like 90% of my money is gone, right? So I'm like, I'm in Miami, I'm gonna be on the beach all fucking week. Like, I can't do shit. So I'm like, we went, and I got to the airport, and I was looking through emails just bored, and I saw the key, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this key shit? And I'm like reading the instructions to put it in, and I was just like, all right, let me see what this does. And I put it into YouTube, and there's $1,100 just sitting for me there. I'm just like, oh shit!
Yo, where's my keys?
I was like, yo, got to Miami, had the time of my life, spent all 1,100 of it, and I came back and I was like, okay, and I still didn't know. I'm like, okay, so when I drop a video, it'll make some money. I'm still not like cluing in that this is like a business.
Like the more you put the videos, the more money comes in.
Schedules, consistency, all these things, and it came to a point where I was dishwashing at this restaurant around the corner from my house, and I was on break, and I was taking pictures with people. Like, I'm trying to get to this one restaurant in Ossington, that Vietnamese spot. And in between, like, I think there's like 3 restaurants from mine to theirs, and in between there, I took 6 pictures, and I'm in a dishwashing outfit.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? Went back to work. took off my uniform, put it there, snuck out. I don't know what they
just
did that
left.
night, God bless. And I just cut, man. I just couldn't do it anymore. I went home and I made a video, sometimes 2 a day, every day for a month, and I made my rent, and I'm like, I could do this. Like from there, I was like, I can definitely, if I can make my rent, I can make more. So
were your family and friends around you like saying like, yo, you really think you could make money like this? Or like, nah,
not at all. But
were they with you on it, or were they like,
they didn't really understand it at all? They thought it was just a cool way to get into the club for free and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's all they really care about. Like, are we getting line bypass or not? So they really, and I throw them in every once in a while, and like you could tell when people are doing anything for free, it's like, do I gotta do this? You know what I mean? They show up late, they don't show up at all, whatever. And so like learning from that, it took a toll later on when I was like, yo guys, I can make money from this. They're like, oh, we knew what you were doing back then. This is bullshit. And so now they obviously see it a little bit more because of it sometimes takes things outside of YouTubing to validate YouTubing. So like you get a sponsorship from Foot Locker. Oh shit, you're like a YouTuber, like, or like you need to see some proof, you know? Exactly. So like just doing things outside of it and just expanding my brand essentially is what like got people to like really understand, especially my mom and stuff like that. You know, parents, especially immigrant parents, they don't understand any of it, and they just want you to be good. You know what I mean? And so once my mom found out I was good, she was like,
short the check and be like, yo, this is working.
And people started coming up to her at work and like, she had my picture on her desk. So people were like, yo, is that dude McFly?
So for sure she was like, all right, you're good.
She's like, who is that dude McFly for so long? I was dying.
Where'd you get that name?
I was just about to ask you.
I was making my Twitter account and I was watching Back to the Future. That's literally all it was. I had no nickname growing up or anything like that. So I was just like, I don't know what to put here. And I typed in a bunch of names. And I was just like, that dude McFly. I like the ring to it, and I like the way it looked. Like,
it looked good.
It just looked good, and I was like, I like that, and that's what I made my name at the time.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought there was gonna be some whole crazy story about it. I was like, no, I just typed it in on Twitter, and that was what it was. I'm like, all right, sick.
It was available.
No worries, that's good.
So
that's crazy.
About obviously just over a year ago, the pandemic hits.
Yeah.
A lot of people forced to adapt, especially content creators, especially comedians, especially people that are used to stand up.
Yeah.
So when it hits, what were you thinking? What were you gonna do to adapt? What were you like? What was going on through your head at that point?
First, I was like confused and didn't really know what to do because like the day that they did lockdown, was the day I had my first headlining comedy show.
Wow.
Like I'd made the show, I had gotten the acts together, sold tickets, everything. I'm going through my comedy notes, all that shit all day, anxiety riddled, and then they're like, no, we're not doing anything. And I was just like, and I was planning on that being like my practice before doing a special on my birthday, that I could make like a comedy special that I could like submit to Junos and all that type of shit. And I was so bummed out, but I was at the same time I was like, there's an opportunity here. I'm always like that. Whenever something happens, I'm like, there's something here that can be done. Like there's always something that can be done. And I was just like, okay, how do we pivot? Like obviously way more time for the podcast now, and people are gonna be bored at home. So it's just like just double down on the podcast essentially. And it hurt that I couldn't do stand up. It hurt that TV stuff had to stand still and all that other stuff. But I kind of looked at it as a blessing. I got to slow down and just like chill out for a bit. Felt like a kid for like 2 weeks.
Nothing to do. You're like
nothing to do but wake up and play video games, eat cereal and shit. Like I was like, this is actually kind of lit. After like a week, I was like, this is kind of fucking lit. No responsibilities. That's true. Government's taking care of my bills. So I'm like, this is kind of.
I'm in it.
I'm in. So it wasn't too bad for me. I figured it out.
You want to go?
No.
I was going to just ask, as a content creator, I mean, especially pre-pandemic, you were very active in making skits. What inspires you when you're making these skits? Like, where does the creative come from? Are you working with a team, or is it just you, just like life experience
it's just
kind
me
of thing?
and my notes pad, man. Yes, me and my notes. I see anything and just like, I don't know why my mind does these things, but it puts things together and especially when a comedic, I try to find. I was at a funeral.
I was
at a funeral and thought of a skit, and I was just like, something's wrong with me. Like, I was like, yo, that was some funny shit. So it's like, I noticed that it's like, I think because I've been out, especially early on, I exercise that muscle so often. Like, I need to find a skit, I need to do this, I need to do that. Now it just comes so naturally, and it's pretty subconscious. I don't really like plan it or anything like that. I just get an idea, and the first thing I do at all times, I make sure I pull out my notes and just write it down or record it or whatever. And because a lot of times I'll have an idea, and the first time I get the idea, it's like rich. It's like, yo, this could be crazy. Then I'm like, I'll write it down later. Think about it later. I'm just like,
yo, that's not.
It's like a quarter of
what was
like what you
the
were thinking
special
about.
part of that idea? Why did I think that was cool? And I completely miss it. So now I just get in there right away.
And now, like with all the content you're creating, and obviously with the podcast, which I want to get into, but do you have a team? Are you filming, editing? What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. Working with Key Radio right now. Shout out my boy Triz. He has a new radio thing that he's popping off over there. Did a bunch of different programming on it, and I linked up with him, so they take care of like our video and that type of distribution, and then audio wise, I basically edit the audio and all that stuff and put it up. It's so hard for me to just lend out jobs.
I know.
I'm learning, especially as a YouTuber, when you're so trained on doing everything yourself. A lot of times you don't realize how many hats you're actually wearing.
Dude,
like
wearing all of them.
Graphic designer, director, producer, actor, writer. Like it's a lot, and you can't put any of them on your resume. You know what I mean?
None of them are legit.
None of them. No studio. No, doesn't count.
So
just trying to learn to delegate more right now.
It's a tough one, man.
It's hard because especially in the creative world, when you're so
you want your hand on every part of it, you know.
You want your hand on every part, and like you're a perfectionist to an extent, right? So you're just like scared to let other people do things. That you're like, are you gonna do it as good as I would?
Right? Like, and nobody sees what you see. You know what I mean? Like you can preach the world. Like almost every job I've ever done, especially with a team, I know I was still the most passionate. I was still the most driven to do it because they didn't see what I saw. And I see the end goal. With the podcasting thing, the first guy that I was with, he ended up dipping out. And I believe it's because he didn't see the end goal. You know, he had other business he had to take care of and stuff, but I look at longevity. I look at long plays, and I'm not in it for no short term anything. And I understand the grind. So it's like, I saw where it could go, and I just keep going at it, man.
Well, it's been 4 years since
4.5 years,
bruv.
Yeah, like,
I don't even know anyone that had a podcast.
This is the most consistent thing I've ever done.
I'm telling you, that's like Joe Rogan shit. That's like, you've been doing it, bro.
How did you see that opportunity? Like,
how did it start?
I just liked it. Honestly, everything that I do.
Ones and shit?
I listened to the Friend Zone and the Read to start off, and then I learned that Charlemagne had a show outside of Breakfast Club, and I'm like, okay, Brilliant Idiots, let me check this out. Andrew, I discovered Andrew on there, and then he had Flagrant, and I followed that, and I just kept on. It's like a web.
Once you get in that like web of like podcasts, like, you're in it, bro.
You're in it, man. And so like a bunch of those New York podcasts, especially, I really identified with, and I was just like, man, like we have these type of discussions all the time, me and my friends, and like especially after a party or like one of those kickbacks where like everyone's just arguing and shit over some topic, like those are my favorite parts of the party. And so I was like, we could do this, like this is not difficult. And the guy I started with, me and him had dope conversations. We had lived together before, and he knew music, which I love. And so I was just like, yo, let's just do it, man. Like everything I do, honestly, I make sure my jobs are shit that I just love doing first,
of course,
and then I make it a job afterwards. Because I'm like, if I could monetize the shit that I love doing, I'll never be unhappy. You know what I mean?
True, very true, very true. Yeah, I know. It's I want to actually learn a little bit more about the podcast, because now you have two other hosts with you, right? But I also like your setup. I like how you guys, it's very laid back.
Yeah,
it's very
chill.
Yeah, talk about it. What's the name of it for anyone listening?
Yeah, Extra Gravy Show. We do it every Wednesday. Don't ask me how I got the name. Honestly, with the whole oxtail thing that I'm constantly surrounding myself with, it just seemed natural that I did something adjacent to it. So I'm like, gravy just makes sense, and I just like the way it sounded. So Extra Gravy, we talk about pop culture every week. and we also discuss just like struggles as creatives, our own lives, especially now that like we've had like a solid and loyal listenership for so long. People kind of just want to hear more about us, which is super weird because we started off just talking about celebrities only and like that world. And now that I'm a little older and I'm just like, man, we don't know these people. You know what I mean? We could talk about things that are related to them, but I don't think we should be discussing celebrities' lives like as much.
100%.
And it just felt weird. You know what I mean? So, especially like you're in a conversation, you're like, by the way, we don't know these guys. You gotta give that disclaimer every time. Like, this felt so weird. So now we kind of just more talk about ourselves, but kind of try to just obviously make it relatable.
Yeah, of course.
You know, things we go through with our family, our friends, work, all that different stuff.
And I guess people now have kind of like bought into your life, or they sort of bought into like your story, and then they want to know. You like talk about something last week, like, yo, I'm about to do this. Yeah. They're like, all right, what happened?
I don't know about you guys, like, I'm very unaware of like the impact of my brand. If people say things to me and message me things, and I'm just like, is it that serious? It's weird. So it's like when I started noticing that people are gravitating more towards our stories, it was relieving, but also still like a little bit, because I put myself out there, and with podcasts you have to be transparent, but I don't like giving everything.
Of course.
So it's more so like right now it feels like the listenership we have is like a community, so I feel like way better indulging and all that stuff.
They want to hear real stories though. I feel like people don't care about no celebrities anymore. They rather hear real people talking about their lives.
Well,
they relate more, you know?
Well, I think that's why like podcasting is growing, because people just want real shit. Like they want to actually if they're not having real conversations, they want to listen to real conversations, right? And that's why people gravitate to stuff like this. But I like what you said. I think like we're learning this now is you got to come on here and these cameras and all this shit's here. You got to be transparent as fuck and like be ready for like people to maybe agree with the things you say and maybe not agree with them. But like podcasting, you become an open book. Like people really learn about you, your views, your opinions, you know, your life. Like you're putting out, you're giving out, especially in your situation, like you're giving out like stories about your life. How are people going to take that, right? What are they going to take from it? Right? So I think podcasting, it's super intimate, but again, that's kind of, I guess, like why people like it. It's why people listen in, right? So
I'm lucky to have very little shame too.
Whatever. Us too. You just gotta be real, bro. You just gotta be real. But I want to talk about the consistency part. I feel like there's a lot of, I even see it too, a lot of younger kids that are trying to get into content. They're just trying to blow up quick, you know, and they don't, and then they give up, you know. So how have you been able to remain so consistent? But because like there's been up and downs for sure, everyone's had them, right? So how do you just take that and say, yo, I'm still going with this?
Like I said, it's easy when you love it. You know what I mean? Like I love going in and talking with those guys and shooting the shit for 2 hours. It feels therapeutic. You know what I mean? And if it was something that became too like jobby, then that would be the problem, where the consistency would fall off. But like I said, I just love doing all this stuff, and it's so much easier. I look forward to it. You know what I mean? Like Tuesday's coming along. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. Every Tuesday I'm like, let's get it. Let's go. Time to pod, especially when there's like new topics every week to discuss. So I've been lucky in that sense, where like I found something I love and I'm good at, and I can stick there. And podcasting for the most part, kind of fairly easy if you know what you're talking about, you do your research, you know what I mean? So it's just preparation for the most part.
I feel like the younger generation just maybe seeing people just blow up quick, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna do that too, but they don't actually love what they're doing. They're just trying to do it to blow up, and then they don't.
It's worse than when we were kids, right? When we were kids, you heard about the whole getting discovered on the street shit. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna just like look good whenever I'm out, like, you know what I mean? Like, but you never thought that it would like actually happen.
Of course.
Now it's like kids are seeing 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds going fucking viral and making millions. Like the biggest earner on YouTube is like a 9-year-old kid that just plays with toys. And so it's when you see all that, I understand a lot of people cannot help but compare themselves.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
That's all they're looking at all day.
That's it. That's it. They're looking at other people's lives, and it's like we turn reality TV into just like reality. You know what I mean?
Which is scary.
Reality. So it's like you're constantly indulging in other people's lives, and to an extent, it's kind of why podcasting works as well. But I find with podcasting, it's escapism with still trying to be in the room. It's like they're trying to escape their own thing, but still want to know what's going on in that space as well. And so it's a tricky thing, man. I understand that people have quit their whole, like, throughout all human history. It's always the people who persevered that we end up remembering, right? So I don't think it's a new thing. I just think it's more visible now.
So if you could go back now, let's say you're 19 now, and you're like, fuck it, like I'm gonna be a content creator. How would you go about it now in this generation?
Shit, I do a lot more planning, a lot less spur of the moment. Oh, this feels good, let's do it. You know what I mean? A lot more planning, a lot more consistency, schedule. Schedule's like huge. Like once you get a routine down, it's almost like you don't have to really think about it. And with me, I was just so sporadic with like videos and everything. It's just I wish I would have honed in, and also niche.
Yeah, that's huge.
On the internet is humongous, and I tried to defy those odds so many times because I love doing so many things. It's like it feels like someone's trying to box you in, like everything else in life, right? But man, they box your ass in. Like if you can do a niche in any field on the internet and stick in it and stay consistent, you'll do fine. You'll do fine.
I'm actually curious. It's a little bit off topic, but I'm just thinking about it because I just think back to first seeing you blow up on the internet. I was in high school, so.
Is it porn?
I'm like, hold on, what is it?
I was just thinking about porn.
No. What I was gonna say was, or a question I was gonna ask was, what's the craziest place like your brand has taken you, or even like
a door that's opened or something?
Yeah, like a door that's open, or even a person that you've been able to meet or something like that. Like what's
There's too many.
I believe it because like I think I've said it 20 times, but I'm just so amazed. Like you were I want to say, for me at least, the first like content creator, person with a personal brand that grew up, that blew up when I was growing up in high school. So I'm curious because I feel like everyone was showing you love in Toronto at that one time. You were like the Toronto guy. Like, everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? It's this random guy.
I never knew any of this was happening either.
I'm telling you, like from my perspective,
crazy.
Like I was 10 years ago. Dude, I was 15, so I was just early in high school, and then just like all my friends talking about the videos you were making and shit. I'm just like, who the fuck is this guy? Bro.
I never get tired of hearing that shit. Cause I was like, how? Why?
I know, crazy. But like, what are some of the craziest people or craziest doors that have opened because of the brand?
Countless. Like obviously Drake tweeting it out. That was really dope. Me and him are homies now. But like, there's just, I don't know. There's so many different things, like NBA TV, like the way Canada, the way they've embraced me, because they saw me talking about basketball all the time on the timeline. They're like, oh, he does media stuff. Why don't we bring him in? And now I'm like really good friends with those people. It's too many, honestly. I've just been very blessed. Like I remember the first time I got flown out to LA for a YouTube network, this network called Forefront, and they were like trying to sign everyone. Super Hot Fire, me, For Y'all Entertainment, Kane, like a whole bunch of just some of the biggest black YouTubers in the world at that time. And I was just like, this is like what's possible. This is crazy. Like they're bringing us places doing red carpets, fucking staying in a huge ass mansion. We threw a mansion party and my Instagram was in the living room, and I'm just like, this is nuts. Like, is this really happening? And so like little stuff like that, like meeting Andrew Schultz, especially for the podcast and stuff, like meeting Andrew and taking him around the city, like none of that stuff would have been,
that must have been crazy.
None of that stuff would have been possible if like I wasn't doing all this, you know what I mean? Like starting from YouTube, like there's so many different avenues, and like I've been blessed enough to form connections with people who look out for me. You know what I mean? Not everybody looks out for you, especially in this industry. Of course, and I've been blessed enough to find some of the people who are humble and honest enough to be like, yo, you can come through too. You know what I mean? And not like gatekeeping or safeguarding their position. You know what I mean? So it's been a lot.
And obviously, again, being in that world so early on, I feel like way before other people were, like, you kind of answered it, but did you notice like people embracing you, like, and saying like, yo, come with me, come through, come to this party, come meet this person, like, random people off Instagram, essentially, like connections that you made off the gram?
Sometimes, but like for the most part, like you said, like I'm constantly doing things first or whatever, or just entering that space pretty early. I won't say first, because like especially with YouTubing, I know Latoya Forever, she was like 2 years in, like 4 y'all was doing their thing too. But yeah, no, like just getting into that world it's tricky, man. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's a lot. Repeat the question.
Like,
let me see if I can frame this properly.
Did you make real solid connections even outside of business? Let's say like real personal connections with people, relationships from let's say the gram or just social media in general.
I would say like people kind of shunned me at first. Like it was the embracing, because I'm trying to figure out if it's like, was it the YouTube or was it me? You know what I mean? It's like that's why I was like, repeat the question. But like I felt a lot of the times people didn't understand what I was doing. And I was just like, okay, I'll show them. I'll just convince them. I'll keep doing it, and they'll get it eventually. And that's literally what it's been, like, continuously. And so I think a lot of the times it's that perseverance of like, okay, they don't get it, I'm still gonna do it. That some people were like, I like that. You know what I mean? And kind of, even if I wasn't doing the greatest, they're still like, yo, you could do this a little bit better, you could do this a little bit better, because I see you like really working. Do these things and let's see what happens, and we'll revisit in like 2 weeks. And then like I do the things, shit would work, and they'd be like, all right, now we can work together and whatever. So it was kind of like I had to audition.
That's what I was gonna say. You're almost auditioning.
It's like I had to audition for the city. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're coming like YouTube, you doing stand up. These guys hate internet guys. They hate internet guys. And so going into stand up, I was like, man, like I'm trying to impress the crowd, but now I gotta impress these guys over here too. Like,
well, because you did stand up after.
Much after. And like I was kind of thrown into it. Like I got put onto this Black History event at Harborfront. Excuse me, I didn't read it through. Get there, they're like, so you can do like 20 minutes, right? I'm like, 20 minutes of what? Wait, what? What's happening right now? And they're like, oh, it's a stand-up show. I'm like, I do 5, 10. They're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna talk about? Like, what am I gonna do? And so like I went up there. I think I talked about shit and like Precious. I actually talked about how does Precious take a shit for like 5 minutes. Because like I just seen Precious that morning, and I was like, there's the freshest thing on my mind. I'm picturing her running with the chicken. I'm like, there's got to be something there. So I'm like, I went up on stage. I was like, hey guys, how's everybody doing? I'm like shitting myself, and I was like, how does Precious take a shit? And everyone started laughing. I was like, everything just calmed down a little bit, and I just started just spewing off random stuff.
But you showed up with like nothing. That's fucked.
Straight off the top. And then like Trix, he's a huge comedian out here. Jay Martin, huge comedian out here. Those guys, they saw what was happening, because obviously the audience is never gonna know that you're winging it. They might think it's an act or whatever, but the comedians can tell.
They knew right away.
They knew right away. And so they're like, you didn't prepare shit, did you? I was like, not big. And then, but since then, those two like really embraced me and took me under their wing and like really showed me the ropes, brought me onto different shows, and like so something like that, for example, not necessarily YouTube, but my fuck up that kind of got me in the door. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been dope that way.
And now like have you noticed that like, you know, have any of like the, I don't want to say like Instagram comedians or like, but I'll call them that. Like have any of the like newer generation Instagram comedians like reached out to you as like an OG sort of?
I kind of reach out to them. Sometimes. Most of the time, I like a lot of them. I've reached out to them like, yo, you should come in my video. You should come do this. You should come do that.
Collaborate.
And just like,
but that's you being smart. So that's you being like, yo, let me
not even
take on their audience.
I see them making a lot of the mistakes I did.
Fair.
And I see myself in them a lot, like a lot of it. And it's only like there's a bunch of them out here, but I only reach out to a couple that I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. I don't want you to go through years of learning. To know better, you know what I mean? Because if I had someone to be like in the YouTube world that could be like, yo, little bro, do this, do this, I would have been so much further in my life. And so a lot of these guys, like, just telling them how to like, just like, don't compromise on your quote. make sure you're consistent, create a schedule, all these little things that they're taking for granted because they're so young. They don't know, right? And it's just been fun, like, working with those guys, man. You realize how much older you've gotten and how much you're missing out on in the younger world.
What's going on?
Man. So it's been dope that way. And then there are the younger cats that kind of like just take things that I've done, and I'm just like,
let me take that idea. Let me take that.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm never gonna be the guy who puts on this story. Yo, look at this fucking fraud. But I see it. I see it all, and I'm just. To me, it's almost a compliment. I want to take it that way instead of being like, "Oh, you shouldn't be able to fucking do that," like some old.
I take it as a compliment, bro. Straight up. I want to talk about the stand-up world because I think it's changing, especially after the post-pandemic. It's going to be a bit different too. But we had not Mark Anthony here. He's also a comedian, stand-up.
Great
cat
stand-up,
bro. Kills me.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
But we were talking about it. What do you think about that industry as a whole? Do you think it's changing? Do you think it's going to be different for people to get those opportunities? Like we were saying, like, yo, you could just blow up by doing TikToks and then go to stand up. They're gonna call you, be like, yo, you have this much of a network.
Facts.
So what do you think about stand up? Where do you think it's going?
It's finally changing. And thanks to people like Andrew Schultz, you know what I mean? Like really showing comedians that the digital space is where it's at. Like comedians, a lot of stand-up comedians were Blockbuster.
True.
Netflix came and said, yo, it's the money. And they said, fuck that. You know what I mean? And then now they're like trying to catch up. And it's, all of it helps. You know what I mean? I feel like with stand-up, it's a lot better with things like TikTok and like a lot of this short form media stuff where you can literally gain a following. Even with podcasting, you can gain a following and then just do shows. YouTubers, I've seen this one guy out in Hamilton, I think his name is Curtis O'Connor. I can't remember what his last name is. His name's Curtis. And he has like 4 million subscribers on YouTube.
Jesus Christ.
And now he tours and does stand-up. And I don't know if he did it before that, but I do know that it's fucking helping. I know that he doesn't have to wait for...
He started on TikTok and shit?
No, I think he started on Vine, actually. And then crossed over to YouTube and then started doing that. And so like... Now you don't gotta wait for Montreal to call you. You don't have to wait for Just for Laugh gags or any of these, you know, big LOLs or any of that to kind of do your own thing, which is what I was trying to plan to do before pandemic and just show people like, yo, like especially in the black community. I don't know a lot of black stand-up comedians in this city that are like making noise
out there,
you know what I mean, like out there, like they're making noise in the stand-up world, but outside of it, like I can think of 3 guys that are like actually doing something. And so I kind of wanted to just be like, yo, anybody can do this. Literally anybody can do this. It doesn't matter if you just have a small show of 50 people. That could be a special that could go to the Junos. And I heard the Juno winner the year before, Dave Merhesh, who was on this show Rami. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Rami, great show. You guys should definitely fucking check it out. It's fucking hilarious. Dave Merhesh, he had won the Juno the year before, and I listened to his comedy album. I'm like, this is not difficult to even put together. Like, and he's winning awards on TV shows now. Crazy. Like, so it was more so like a thing where when you're younger, you don't know how to get into these things. You don't know you need an agent and all that other shit to get in. And now that the middleman's being taken away, kind of thing. It's like it doesn't even matter. You just create. You know what I mean? So
I feel like because when we spoke to Mark Anthony about it, he was one thing that he mentioned in terms of like people like comedians blowing up on Insta, TikTok, whatever, and then they get to the stage and it's not the same.
Because it's more than 30 seconds.
Because you're not
no
in a
editing.
room.
There's no filters.
No editing. You're not in a room with your
Yep.
phone. Like you're in front of maybe hundreds
Separates
or thousands
the boys
of people.
From the men.
Yeah,
I love watching it. Honestly, I get now why they stared at me that way.
Yeah.
Like because I see other guys do it and I'm just like. Stick to the editing, bro. Stick to the editing.
It's much different, right?
It's the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Like it's
No, I can imagine.
It's like you're naked, bro. It's insane. And there's no hiding at all. It doesn't matter. You stumble on a word or a joke. Everyone just heard you stumble, watched you stumble, and know you're struggling right now.
It's true.
And it's like you're the only person in the room facing the wrong way. It's like you can't win. It's like all set up that wrong. So it's.
And I guess I think you can mention. Is it true? Like you get that first laugh and you're like, okay.
Oh
like,
God, that's why I always start off with my premise right out the gate, and I make sure it's so ridiculous that I have to bring them back around to it because like. if I don't get that first laugh, if I'm up there, I don't know how some guys just have that demeanor where they can just be on stage and just like Dave Chappelle is a god. He can sit there, smoke a cigarette and just sit in the silence and embrace it. And I'm up there like trying to fill every fucking gap of silence. Because like, especially with podcasting, you're like no dead space, no dead air, no negative space, whatever. And so like I'm so in that mindset, and like realistically, where's the audience going?
Yeah, it's true. They're not moving.
They're not moving.
Yeah, they're not moving.
What's the rush? Sit there. They're gonna listen to everything you're saying. They're quiet on purpose. And so it's like learning to embrace that is like my next step, my next phase in like that whole stand-up world. Because like you said, getting that first laugh is so. But like I was talking about before, I don't want to cheat. That feels like cheating. If I can't go up there and just be like, yo,
it's facts. And
just chill.
I know.
You need balls of steel.
You need crazy,
man.
crazy
like Chappelle and those guys, they do like 100 shows a year and shit. Like he's been doing this since like 16.
It's like muscle memory.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It ain't shit to him, but like for me, I'm not a guy that goes out to like small clubs and works small 3 or 4 nights a week. Like it's just not in me. I'm never gonna be the traveling comedian that goes to like fucking small bumfuck cities. I hate that shit.
Like Calgary.
I hate that shit, and I get it. Like I believe that that's what you needed to do back in the day, but I don't think you need to do that now.
You don't need to do that.
I don't think I need to do any of that shit.
Yeah, it's
true. And like I posted one video of a stand-up I did in December before COVID. And I had like 100 DMs like, yo, next show, let me know.
That's crazy.
And I'm just like, you don't need any of that city go to this bumfuck small town, do jokes for 8 people. Like it's not necessary. And stand-up is not a paying shit. Like I got paid $10 one stand-up. Like it's not one of those at all.
$10 don't even pay me, bro. Like, don't even
bro,
get the 10.
sometimes you get paid $5-10. Like I'm dead ass, and there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of comedians.
That's fucked.
Especially when you're starting out. Like
of course.
when you get that followed name.
Well, they know that
like,
you need the exposure too,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So I guess like you're pretty much now like using social media. You're like your own promoter essentially, right? Is that what you were saying? You wanted to do your own shows?
Yeah. I wanted to do my own shows where like it's my crowd. I know they're coming for me, and it's not like I have to appease to some randoms that don't know me. You know, why should I have to do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like at the end of the day, I'd much rather grab randoms that came with people that know me and get it than just some people I have to impress and do a song and dance for. Like I just don't like that shit.
Especially I guess in comedy too. It's like you're not trying to like switch up shit just to like please this guy or please this girl. Like you want to just go up there, say your shit.
Be myself.
Yeah. I feel that.
I don't want to go up there and have to mince words or find translations because they don't understand ebonics. Like I don't have time for that shit.
So that show that you were gonna do before the pandemic, you're gonna do that still?
Eventually.
Whatever the fuck. I guess
have way more jokes now, but a lot of those. I was reading some of them and I was like, yo, this is some good shit. Because I love writing down ideas and coming back to them like 3-4 months, a year later, just to see if they hold up, and then I do them.
Those are the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. They got to be evergreen, and so like with a lot of them, I've added and tweaked and whatnot, but definitely still ready to go.
We're gonna come out then. Fuck.
Yeah, you gotta
come
out to
that.
And I'm curious. I like asking content creators this question. Like, do you have an end goal? Is there, I know obviously you do a lot of things, so maybe there's multiple end goals, but like when you look forward 5-10 years, what do you see? Like
I don't look forward that long.
Yeah,
I can't, man. Like there's so many, especially with the last year that we had. It's like
fair.
Seeing, 1 year looking at a time. For it's like let me just go 1 month at a time. So it's like I really have no end goal, because I don't want it to end for the most part. Like I see myself podcasting until I'm old. I don't see why. Like podcasting, I feel it gets better the older you get. You know what I mean?
I was saying that to him. I was like, yo, Dean, we're doing this forever, bro. Like, we're in this forever.
Why not? You know what I mean? Stand up is just, it's like part of my life. It's like just telling jokes is super easy and nothing I have to end or at any point. Acting, same thing. Forget Jack Nichol's like 136. He's still out here at Lakers games clapping and shit. So it's like, you know what I mean? I feel like everything I've chosen to do, I love so much, and is not age specific. So I'm lucky in that regard where I don't need to have an end goal. I think I just want to keep going until I'm comfy. And once I'm comfy, I could do it whenever I want instead of like having to schedule and do all that stuff. I think that's what that's probably my end goal. It's like a looser schedule.
Yeah, but then you're probably still gonna stay so scheduled because you just like it. You love it. Like you said, you just love it. Like at that point,
even if you had a team doing all your shit, you're gonna be like, yo, let me see that.
Hey, trust me.
Let me do that. Actually, I'll do that.
Trust me.
Fuck, bro.
Well, listen, we're the MBH podcast. Money buys happiness.
You guys got to get Jellystone on here. You guys got to get Jellystone on here. I'm going to message him.
Yeah, link,
I'm down.
connect. Make the connect.
Yeah.
I'm down.
What do you think? What comes to mind when you hear money buys happiness?
Jellystone. I swear to God. That's like, that was one of the earliest hip hop songs from Toronto that I ever heard that I didn't think was from Toronto.
Yeah.
I heard it because you remember back in the day, Toronto music or a Canadian song comes on instantly. 4 bars and you're like, okay. Socrates, Rascals, like, you know what I mean? Like, but that was one of the first ones I heard, and I was like, wow, this is just a banger. Just like, it's not even a Canadian banger. It's just a straight up banger.
Yeah.
And that notion of money can't buy me happiness, but I'm happiest when I can buy what I want. But I was like,
like I can relate to that.
I'm happiest there. So that's what I think of, man. Other than that, I do think that money does buy happiness to an extent. But it's also up to you to do some more work past that. And then true happiness can be achieved. Yeah.
No, I feel you don't seem like the guy who's like very worried about materialistic. And you can tell you love what you do, right?
Yeah.
You came in, you're talking your shit. You can see you're really into what you do, and like I mean, usually we try to get people to sit across from us who are in that state of mind, right? Who love what they do in their industry and what the case is. But it's very important, man. And I feel like in the industry you're in, being a creator of all sorts, like, dude, it gets tough, bro.
Very.
Like, and it's very like up and down, right?
That's the tough part.
Yeah, like it's very up and down, right? But obviously, again, coming back to like you love what you do, like you'll always be just like in a better place, even when it's kind of down, right?
Definitely.
But, no, man. Listen, I want for anyone listening, any young creator listening, who wants to get into the world you're in, any one of them, podcasting, stand up, whatever the case is, what piece of advice would you give them?
For the most part, just stay consistent, man. And honestly, even if things are not that great yet, the consistency will keep people coming back. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, they start off in their audience is just their friends or their Facebook or whatever the case may be, and that is a starting point. Regardless, you don't need one big video, although it would be nice to blow you up, and then you can start. Just start right away. You know what I mean? And people, if you're talented enough, you put in the work and you stay consistent, people are gonna buy in. People will buy in.
It's true. We're actually seeing that with this podcast right now. The more consistent we've been, the more people buy in.
We're gonna catch up to your sub soon, I promise, bro.
7 years from now.
We're gonna have you on in 2055.
The podcast one has 800. Don't worry, you guys are mad close.
It's fucked, bro.
Growing podcasts in general and like any medium is just tough, man.
I remember the first season where we had like the first episode. It was like first week. It was like 50 views. Oh, we were amped.
We were amped about it. We were amped.
Listen, don't let those numbers like fool you just by looking at other people's numbers.
Because 400
people is a lot of people. You couldn't put 400 people in this room. It's a lot of people, man. So it's like. I fell into that trap very early on and just looking at the numbers, just be like, I gotta get these numbers up. Like right now, we're averaging, I don't even know, like I think it's like 5,000 to 8,000 listeners every week, and I'm just like, that is a lot of people listening to me speak. Like
that long too. It's not like a 30-second clip. It's a long time, bro.
I'm like, we're doing like 2 hours and a half, and our retention time's like really good. I'm just like, this is crazy.
2.5 hours. And you guys
sometimes
are
we
playing around.
used to do 3.5. Like we used to just go.
I guess if I was just here sitting here talking about myself, my life, I'll go forever.
We just go, especially with all the pop culture news and shit like that. It's like there's so much happens throughout the week. I could go for days.
For sure.
Usually I just stop the podcast because I'm like, my co-host, I'm tired.
Someone's falling asleep and shit.
You guys need rest, bro. You guys need rest.
That's
for sure.
No, we're gonna get you back anyways, bro. Appreciate you.
You guys gotta come on our podcast.
I'm down. I'm with it.
Let me know. I'm ready to just talk shit.
Man.
I'm ready to talk some shit.
We'll set it up, bro.
Listen, it was a pleasure. Like I said, fucking grew up watching you take off. So this was like big for me to have you on. So I appreciate you coming out.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
It was a pleasure, man.
Appreciate you guys, bro.
We'll have you back. Hopefully we'll be a little closer to the subscribers, but at that point we'll check it out. But
definitely.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
No
Dean?
doubt.
Yo.
Hey.